So the number one question I get asked on this YouTube account is, what is my favorite Linux distribution, or what one am I using on a daily basis? And when it comes to my favorite Linux distribution, there's no question that is EndeavourOS. And the primary reason why I like EndeavourOS is because 1, it's Arch, and 2, I'm lazy. EndeavourOS will give you as close as you could get to an pure vanilla Arch experience without having to go through the process of actually installing it through the command line or using their piece of garbage built-in little installer script that they have in the ISOs now. Additionally, the theming is beautiful if you do choose to use one of the desktop environments that they did happen to theme, and the installer gives you a lot of different options when it comes to the actual desktop environment. So the reason for this video ultimately is this right here. They have released their next ISO version, so what we're going to be doing in this video is covering some of the changes and just doing a basic walkthrough of my favorite Linux distribution, EndeavourOS. So currently we are in the EndeavourOS live environment on their main website, and you can see that they have their new ISO up. We go over here and we have the full announcement right here. I'm going to be running through most of this stuff, but if you want a full rundown of everything, I will have this linked down below. And some of the new changes are some new mirrors for actually downloading the ISO. They have an application that we're going to be looking more into, some new wallpapers, and the main thing with EndeavourOS is Calamares, because the main point of this is installing Arch essentially. But we're going to be running through a lot of this as we go ahead and install it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and right here we have our little welcome dialog. If you didn't notice, right now the default desktop environment is XFCE. It's one of the 2 desktop environments that they've actually themed their kind of purple color scheme, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way. I was using their i3 spin for a while, which is the other one that they actually do theme, and I went ahead and created a ULauncher theme that is based off of the color code for both i3 and XFCE. So if you're somebody who likes ULauncher and you like EndeavourOS, at least as far as the default color scheming, you should probably check out the GitHub repo for that little theme I threw together. So what I'm going to do real quick is go ahead and start the installer. And from here, you're going to have 2 options. You're going to have an online and offline mode. The online mode will let you choose your desktop environment from, I think, 12 or 13 different environments or so. We'll actually look at that in just a sec. But if you don't have an internet connection, you can use the offline installer, which will basically give you what you're seeing here, which is XFCE with that EndeavourOS theming. So we're going to go ahead and go with online for now, and here is Calamares. So one thing that's new, this is currently a virtual machine, so I'm not going to be able to show this, but they've made it so if you go ahead and input a Wi-Fi password during the installation, it goes ahead and saves it, so you don't need to do it again. It's just one of the many welcome improvements over their previous releases. Additionally, their applications have gotten some good updates out of the box. We have Calamares at 3.2 now, Firefox running at 91.0. This is going to be shipping with the 5.13 Linux kernel. And then we've had updates to the Mesa and the NVIDIA drivers. So one thing that's cool is when you go ahead, well, like a lot of distributions, when you first boot this up, you have the option to boot into the open source or with NVIDIA drivers, basically, if you're running a NVIDIA GPU. And another update to note is if you're somebody who uses a desktop environment that has LightDM, has gotten better GPU support. And with the install process of EndeavourOS overall, they used to pull a lot of different things from GitHub repositories, but they have their own now, which helps with conflicts. If somebody's like country blocks GitHub for some reason, it just makes the process a little bit smoother for everybody. So this is the online installer, and what we're going to go ahead and do is shuffle through here. So let's go next. We're going to pick our location. It detected it automatically, and here we're going to go ahead, let's erase the entire disk. And one thing they added better support for is better FS. So now this option can be chosen with the possibility to create a file system with a sub-volume scheme, so that is very nice. For this video, I'm actually just going to go ahead and keep that selected. So let's go ahead and go next. And here is where we're going to go ahead and pick our desktop environment. For this, usually I'm somebody who goes with KDE or sometimes GNOME. Because of the theming, we want to check that out. We're going to go ahead and go with the XFCE desktop and the i3 window manager. If I go ahead and drop this down, you can see that we have an option to select or deselect the EndeavourOS theming. And same thing with the i3 window manager here. Personally, I love purple. Purple's my favorite color. The color scheme is purples and blues and grays. I love it, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Additionally here, this is new, we have the LTS kernel in addition, so you could go ahead and select that if you would like to. And then down here we have some printer support and some accessibility tools. Now, additionally, other than i3 and XFCE, you could do KDE, GNOME, the Mate Desktop, Cinnamon, Bungee, LXQT. So with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and go next, and then let's fill this out real quick. All right, and when you got this all filled out, we could go next. That's going to give us a summary of everything that we're doing, and go ahead and install now. And another thing that is nice, when you're using the online installer, they've enabled parallel downloads. This is something that came with Pac-Man version 6, I believe, which will greatly increase the speed of downloads. So instead of only going one file at a time, if you have a pretty good internet connection and you can handle downloading a lot of things at the same time, you'll notice dramatic speed improvements in this installer. And even without that, you'll notice big speed improvements because they completely rewrote this to make the ISO a little bit more slimmed down, and overall it's a huge improvement. The EndeavourOS team spent some serious time on this, and you guys do some awesome work. And while this does install, you can see some information on the EndeavourOS apps and things like that. And speaking of apps, it really doesn't install too many things on your system. By default, you have to actually go ahead and manually install some of these, and we're going to show you that with their new Apps Info application once we go ahead and get booted into the system. Now, speaking of speed, it's already done. I turned off my camera and my OBS while I was going to wait, and as soon as I got everything off, it's done. So we're back up. Let's go ahead and restart this and jump into our system. So restart, hit done, and it's going to go ahead and restart on us. All right, so now we are in. This is our login screen here. If I go ahead up here, you can see I have the XFCE session and i3. For now, let's go ahead and boot on into their XFCE session. All right, so we are in our system. This is our little welcome dialog here. So it gives us a rundown of some of the things it recommends us to do after the install, including update our mirrors, update our system. We have a couple different options such as the theming, the default wallpaper, which by the way, the default wallpaper is looking absolutely beautiful. I am liking that quite a bit. And if I go through this welcome dialog here, we have some assistant stuff here, which will browse AUR packages and a lot more. We have some tips for our system, and we have the option to add more apps. So here are some popular applications. Mostly we have LibreOffice and Chromium, because this really doesn't come with too many applications at all. So if I go over here, I go under EndeavourOS. Under accessories, we have some of the XFCE stuff. Development, we have Icon Browser and Meld. Graphics, we have gthumb and just basic image viewers. Here we have Firefox, multimedia. It comes with MPV, which is nice, over VLC. We have some setting stuff, and then system. And really that's it. This is some of the EndeavourOS tools here. One thing I'm going to want to do is open up our terminal real quick, and let's go ahead and install their new application info thing. So let's go yay-s eos-apps-info, hit enter, type in our super secure complicated password, and then you can see right here that's the package. It's very small, under 2 megabytes. So let's go ahead and grab that real quick, and it is done. So now if I go over here to EndeavourOS, I type apps. This right here is their new application, but it looks like we need to update our database. Type in our password again. There we go. So this is their new app info application. So this is basically all the EndeavourOS applications that are installed other than just pure Arch. So like we have the EOS wallpaper set here. If I tap on that, it's going to open up a file that's on our system. It's an HTML file. And here it's going to show us how to set wallpapers with their specific application. And it'll do that for all of these. So if I go to something else, such as Yay, for example, if you're interested in what that is, this is going to give you a rundown of what Yay is, how to use it, some of the options that you could go ahead and add to it. So overall, this is a very nice tool. It would be nice if these HTML files opened up in like a smaller container within an application or within this application, but that's okay. So this is one of the things that is new. All right, and before we wrap up here, let's go ahead and actually throw open our system monitor here. So let's check out some of the performance. The CPU is hardly doing nothing. If we go over here to memory, we are using about 711 megabytes of RAM, which really is not too bad. I think a plain vanilla Arch install uses about 500 megabytes of RAM, and I've done benchmarking videos comparing this to vanilla Arch if you guys are curious on the performance differences. Out of all the Arch-based distros, this one is definitely the closest. So with all that said, I would like to thank our YouTube members and Patreon supporters. We have Mitchell Valentino, Phil, Mac, Timo, Anthony, and Kyle. You guys are some of the highest tier Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all the other Techie and Techie Plus members. Again, if you're interested in trying out EndeavourOS, my favorite Linux distribution by far, the download link will be in the description. So with all that said, make sure you're subscribed, you ring that bell so you do not miss any future uploads. I'm really excited to continue using EndeavourOS going into the future. It's very easy to customize. It's just a wonderful place to be. With all that said, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and goodbye.